All right, what's up? What's up? What's up? Okay, remember to subscribe and push that like button. Today we're going to be talking about the data on the surveys and we're going to see who has the best marriages. But before we start, I want to introduce you to Kevin Samuels AI. Kevin, can you say good morning?
Good morning, everyone, and absolutely big welcome to all of you tuning in. So, yeah, let's dive into those survey results and who's got the best marriages. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button if you're enjoying this. Let's get started.
All right, and during this show or after the show, I need for you to go to the post and go to the surveys and update my surveys here. All right, Kevin, can you let my audience know that they need to subscribe and go to the post and update the surveys?
Absolutely. So, everyone listening in, just a quick reminder from Kevin Samuels AI here. Definitely make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. And after the show or during, appreciate your input. Thanks for being part of the conversation.
All right. So in our first survey, and I have it up here, is what group has the best wives? All right. So I have four groups. I have the whites, the blacks, the Asians, the Latinos, and Indians. So with that said, how successful are marriages with white people, Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're looking at it from kind of a broad survey perspective, it's interesting to see how different groups perceive marriage success. Generally, when people talk about, white marriages, they're often looking at things like stability or longevity rates, but it's all kind of a mix. And the same goes for all the other groups you mentioned, Black, Asian, Latino, Indian, each has its own dynamics and cultural factors. But that's why the survey is interesting because we get to hear what people think and how they rate it. So let's dive into that.
So how many white people are still married, Kevin?
Yeah, so if we're talking about the numbers overall, typically in the US, the percentage of white individuals who are currently married tends to hover somewhere around half of the adult population, give or take, depending on the age group. Of course, it can vary by region and all that, but that's kind of a general ballpark. And the survey will give us a fun peek into how people feel about that.
Okay. So do you have a number of how many white marriages are in America?
Yeah, definitely. So if we're looking at recent stats, roughly around half of white adults in the US are married, which translates to tens of millions of people. It's a pretty large number, of course, because it's a big population group, but the exact percentage tends to be around that 50% mark for currently married adults. And of course, that's just a general estimate, but it gives you an idea of how many marriages we're talking about.
And how many marriages are there in the black group?
Yeah, sure thing. So, in the Black community in the US, the percentage of adults who are married is typically a bit lower than the national average. It's often somewhere around a third or so of Black adults who are currently married, give or take. So, that translates into a significant number of marriages as well, just fewer compared to the total population size. So, it's a smaller percentage, but still a large community of marriages out there.
And how many are married in the Asian group?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the Asian community in the US, marriage rates tend to be a bit higher on average. It's often one of the groups with a relatively high percentage of married adults, usually somewhere above half of the adult population. So it's a pretty notable portion. And of course, that's just a general statistic, but it gives you an idea that there's a strong tradition of marriage there. So yeah, that's kind of the ballpark for the Asian group.
How many are married in the Latino group?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the Latino community in the US, the marriage rate also tends to be relatively solid. It's often somewhere around the national average or a bit above. So you might see roughly around half or just under half of Latino adults being married. It's a pretty significant portion of that community as well. So it's another group with a strong marriage tradition in many families.
And how many are married in the Indian group?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the Indian community in the US, the marriage rate tends to be quite high as well. It's generally one of the groups with a relatively strong tradition of marriage. So you might see that a majority of Indian adults are married. It can definitely be above that 50% mark. So it's a community where marriage is quite common and culturally significant.
All right, list five criteria that make a good wife.
Absolutely. We can lay out some criteria. So, of course, this can vary for everyone, but here are five pretty common qualities people often mention. First, communication is a big one. A good wife is someone who can communicate openly and honestly with their partner. Second, supportiveness, being supportive of each other's goals and challenges. Third, trustworthiness, having trust in the relationship and being reliable. Fourth, partnership, being a real partner in decision making and in the ups and downs of life. And fifth, kindness and empathy, just having that compassion and understanding in the relationship. So those are a few qualities people often look for.
All right. In the group that I have up right now, on what group has the best wives, we have 50% say whites have the best wives, and we have 50% that says that blacks have the best wives, and we don't have any data for Asians, Latinos, and Indians. So I really need for you to go to the survey and put your data in to update these surveys so that we can have some current data for these questions. All right, what do you think about that, Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. So definitely everyone who's listening, go ahead and jump into that survey and add your input because the more data we have, the better picture we get. And it's always fun to see how everyone's opinions and experiences shape the results. So yeah, I think it's a great idea to get everyone involved.
All right, so now we got the same deal on what group has the best husbands. All right, same thing with this one, Kevin. Give me list five things that make a good husband.
Absolutely, we can do that. So just like with the wives, let's talk about five qualities people often mention for a good husband. First, communication, just like before, being able to talk openly and listen well is huge. Second, reliability, someone who follows through on commitments and is dependable. Third, respect, showing respect to their partner and valuing them as an equal. Fourth, supportiveness, being there emotionally and practically, cheering on their partner's goals. And fifth, kindness and empathy, just like before, being compassionate and understanding. So those are some common qualities people look for in a good husband.
All right, so out of the white group, uh, what is the percentage of them being husbands?
Yeah, definitely. So if we're looking at the white group in the US, roughly speaking, the percentage of adult men who are married and therefore husbands tends to be somewhere around that 50% mark. It can vary, of course, by age group and region, but that's kind of a ballpark. So you're looking at about half of the adult white male population being in that husband category. So that gives you a general sense of the percentage.
All right, in the black group, what's the percentage of them being black husbands?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the Black community, the percentage of adult men who are married and therefore husbands is typically a bit lower than the national average. It's often somewhere around a third or maybe a little more of Black adult men who are married. So that gives you kind of a rough idea. It's a smaller percentage compared to some other groups, but definitely still a significant number of husbands in the community.
All right, in the Asian group, what's the percentage of Asian husbands?
Yeah, definitely. So in the Asian community of the US, the percentage of adult men who are married is typically on the higher side. It's often above half, so you do see a pretty strong proportion of Asian adult men who are husbands. It's one of the higher marriage rates among different groups, so it gives you an idea that it's pretty common in that community.
And in Latinos and Indians, what is the percentage of them being husbands?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the Latino community, typically the percentage of adult men who are married is around or a little under half. So it's a healthy percentage. And for the Indian community, it's often quite high as well. Usually above half of adult Indian men in the US are married. So both of those groups have a solid proportion of men who are husbands.
All right, being a husband and all, what's a good gift to give to your wife in 2025 for Christmas? List three gifts you would give to your wife in 2025 for Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about 2025 and some nice gift ideas for your wife, here are three that could be great. First, something personalized and meaningful, like a custom piece of jewelry or something that has a personal engraving that means a lot to her. Second, an experience gift, like a weekend getaway or a special dinner at a place she's been wanting to try, something that creates memories. And third, maybe something tech savvy if she's into that, like a new gadget or something that just makes her life easier or more fun. So those are three ideas that could definitely make her smile.
If you were a wife, what would be the top three things to give your husband for 2025 Christmas?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we flip it around and think about gifts for a husband in 2025, here are three ideas. First, something related to his hobbies or interests. So if he loves a certain sport, a new piece of gear, or if he's into tech, a cool gadget, something that shows you know what he loves. Second, an experience or an adventure like tickets to a game or a concert or a weekend trip, something you can do together that's memorable. And third, something personal and thoughtful, maybe a handwritten letter or a photo book or something that's really meaningful and shows you put your heart into it. Those are three ideas that could definitely make a husband happy.
All right, what would you do if you're not married at all? You're divorced or separated or never married. What would you do this Christmas?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're not married, whether you're divorced, separated, or just never been married, Christmas can still be a really special time. One thing you can do is focus on self-care and treat yourself to something you love, whether it's a nice meal, a spa day, or just a relaxing day at home. You could also spend time with friends and family if they're around, or even volunteer or join a community event to spread a little holiday cheer. Really, it's all about doing something that brings you joy and makes the holiday meaningful for you.
All right, let's go into our next survey. We were talking about the beauty pageants. What beauty pageants do you like the most? So I got 19 votes. 16% voted that Miss World Beauty pageant was was the best. 58% voted Miss Universe beauty pageant was the best. 21% voted Miss USA beauty pageant is the best. And 5% voted that Miss Teen beauty pageant was the best. So on each one of these, could you just tell us a little bit about it? Can you tell us what is the Miss World beauty pageant all about?
Absolutely. So the Miss World Beauty Pageant is one of the oldest and most prestigious international beauty pageants. It actually started back in the 1950s, and it focuses not just on beauty, but also on things like talent, intelligence, and a charity component called Beauty with a Purpose. So contestants from all over the world compete, and it really tries to highlight not just external beauty, but also the contestants' contributions to society. So it's a pretty well-rounded and globally respected pageant.
All right, tell us about Miss Universe pageant. What's it all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Miss Universe pageant is another huge and really well-known international beauty pageant. It's been around since the 1950s as well, and is known for bringing together contestants from all over the globe to compete not just on beauty, but also on things like personality, intelligence, and public speaking. It's really big on celebrating diversity and cultural representation, and the winner often becomes a global ambassador for various causes. So it's definitely one of the most famous pageants out there.
Okay, can you tell us what's the Miss USA beauty pageant all about?
Absolutely. So the Miss USA Beauty Pageant is a national pageant in the United States that selects the representative who will go on to compete in Miss Universe. It's all about showcasing the beauty, intelligence, and talents of American women from each state. So each state has its own competition, and the winners come together to compete for the national title. And beyond beauty, it really focuses on leadership and advocacy as well. So the title holder often gets involved in a lot of charitable work and public speaking. So it's a pretty big deal in the pageant world of the U.S.
Okay, tell us about Miss Teen beauty pageant. What is it all about?
Absolutely. So the Miss Teen Beauty Pageant is basically a pageant that focuses on teenagers, usually young women in their mid to late teens. It's a bit more youth focused, so it emphasizes things like poise, confidence, and public speaking, but in a way that's age appropriate and really supportive of young women developing their leadership skills. And it's kind of a stepping stone for some who might go on to adult pageants later on. It's a nice way for teens to gain experience, build confidence, and just have a positive pageant experience.
All right, all these pageants have beautiful women. So, what do you think? What are the top three things you think Santa Claus should give beautiful women that go to these pageants?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we imagine Santa bringing gifts for these beauty pageant contestants, here are three fun ideas. First, maybe a little pampering or spa day gift, something that helps them relax and unwind after all that competition. Second, maybe something that supports their cause or charity work, like a donation in their name to a cause they care about. And third, maybe a bit of sparkle, some kind of beautiful accessory or a little luxury item that makes them feel special. So those could be three thoughtful gifts from Santa.
Should a young, beautiful woman spend her energy trying to get into one of these pageants, or is it a waste of time?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it really comes down to the individual. For some young women, pageants can be a great way to build confidence, public speaking skills, and make connections. They can be a lot of fun and offer opportunities for scholarships and community involvement. On the other hand, it's definitely not for everyone. If someone feels like it aligns with their goals and they're excited about it, it can be a worthwhile experience. If not, there are plenty of other ways to use that energy. So it's really a personal choice.
All right, so today's show, we want to subscribe, and increase our subscribership by at least 1,000 more subscribers. So uh, I put a lot of shows up and a lot of shows about Christmas. So what Christmas joy did you like the best? And so in our survey, we had 49 people vote. 14% said that Billy Boy singing Christmas songs was the best. 57% said the Christmas train going around the Christmas tree was the best. 22% said the Christmas lights and trees you saw in your neighborhood was the best. And 60% said, I'm not sure. So I would like to make another show just singing Christmas songs. Kevin, what do you think about that? Should I make some videos singing some old Christmas carols?
Absolutely. I think that sounds like a really fun idea. If your audience enjoyed the Christmas songs before, then doing a whole show where you sing some carols could definitely spread some holiday cheer and probably bring in some more subscribers too. People love a bit of festive music, so I say go for it.
I like to sing them, but we have you know, a problem with singing songs and getting copyrighted, so I like to sing some songs. So what song should you suggest that I sing that I don't get a copyright mark against?
Yeah, definitely. That's a smart consideration. So a
Mm.
good way to avoid copyright issues is to stick with songs that are in the public domain. For Christmas carols, there are a lot of classics like Silent Night, Jingle Bells, Deck the Halls. Those are all public domain, so you can sing those without any copyright worries. So picking those traditional carols is a great way to go.
All right, I'm gonna sing some traditional carols, and I need for you while I'm singing this, I need for you to take and subscribe to the channel. What about the Christmas train? Do you think people really enjoy? Because that's the highest, 57%. Do they really enjoy looking at a Christmas train going around a tree, or Christmas train or sleigh going through the snow?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people really do enjoy that kind of nostalgic charm of a Christmas train going around the tree. It's kind of a classic holiday image and it brings a lot of joy. It's something that people of all ages can appreciate. So, yeah, if that's what your audience is really into, then definitely something that resonates with them.
I was thinking about getting in my car and going around the neighborhood and filming Christmas lights of people how they took and decorated their houses and stuff. Is you think that's a good would make a good show for me to take and film the Christmas lights in my neighborhood and in other neighborhoods?
I think that's a fantastic idea. A lot of people love seeing those neighborhood Christmas lights and all the decorations. It's kind of heartwarming and it can get folks a little tour of the holiday spirit in your area. So, yeah, I think they'll make a great show and people will really enjoy it.
There's people that don't celebrate Christmas. I think it's the Jewish community that doesn't celebrate Christmas and other communities, other groups. Can you tell me what groups don't celebrate Christmas?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. For example, many Jewish people celebrate Hanukkah instead of Christmas. Also, people who are Muslim, you typically don't celebrate Christmas as a religious holiday. They might have other celebrations like Eid. And there are other groups as well, like Jehovah's Witnesses, who generally don't celebrate Christmas. And of course, there are people who are religious at all and may not celebrate it for their reasons. So there's definitely a mix of different groups that don't observe Christmas.
Should I make a Chris show on celebrating Hanukkah? Do you think that would work?
Yeah, I think that could definitely be a great idea. If you're looking to include different traditions and reach a broader audience, doing a show about Hanukkah could be really educational and inclusive. You could share a little bit about the traditions, the history, and it might be something your viewers really appreciate. So I'd say go for it if you're interested.
How about having a show on celebrating Kwanzaa? Would that work?
Absolutely. I think that would be a great idea too. Kwanzaa is a really meaningful celebration for a lot of people and some wonderful opportunity to highlight those traditions and the values that come with Kwanzaa. It could definitely add some cultural richness to your holiday content and help people learn a bit more about it. So I think that could work really well.
All right, another question I asked on the survey was, what was the best country to date in? Okay, I had 76 people that voted, and there 8% said it was the United States, 9% said it was Europe, 70% said India, and 13% said that it was the Middle East and China. All right, I am really astounded right here that we got 70% India saying that's the best country to date in. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, that is definitely an interesting result. I mean, it's kind of cool to see that people are really interested in India as a dating destination. I think it might just show that people are curious about different cultures, or maybe they find something really appealing about the idea of dating in India. So it's definitely a unique and kind of fun result, and just shows that people have a wide range of tastes.
I also found out when we did the beauty pageant that India has the most people that have won in the beauty pageants. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. India has had a really strong presence in international beauty pageants over the years. They've had quite a few Miss World and Miss Universe winners, and it's something a lot of people take pride in. So it makes sense that maybe that popularity is kind of spilling over into other areas like dating preferences too.
All right, so now that we're in the Christmas season and all, my next survey was what is the best Christmas gift I can send to family and friends? So I got 23 people that voted in this survey. 9% said go buy it. 74% said homemade gifts are the best. 13% said I'm not sure. And 4 says I don't give any gifts during Christmas time. What do you think about the results of this survey, Kevin?
Yeah, I think it's really heartwarming to see that a lot of people appreciate homemade gifts. It definitely shows that people really value that personal touch and the effort that goes into something homemade. So if you're thinking about gifts, it sounds like a homemade gift could be a big hit. It's just a nice, meaningful way to show you care.
All right, so they said homemade gifts. Can you give me three types of homemade gifts I could give to people during Christmas?
Absolutely. So for homemade gifts, here are three ideas. One could be something like homemade baked goods, cookies, holiday treats. People love that. Another could be something crafty, like a handmade ornament or a piece of decor. And a third could be a personalized photo album or scrapbook, something that really captures memories. Those are all heartfelt and people really appreciate them.
All right, and what about going out and buying a gift? Is it going to be pretty hard to go out and buy a gift since it's all crowded on the freeways and stuff right now?
Yeah, definitely. Around the holiday season, it can get pretty hectic out there with all the crowds and traffic. So if you do want to buy a gift, it just might take a little extra time and patience. If you're up for the adventure, it can still be done. Or you can always shop online if you want to avoid the crowds. It just depends on what you prefer.
Okay, if I don't give gifts during Christmas, what should I send to the people that I don't give gifts?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not getting physical gifts, you can still send something thoughtful. For example, you can write a heartfelt card or a letter, just sharing your good wishes for the season. Or you can even send a video message or make a phone call just to connect with people. It's really all about letting them know you're thinking of them.
All right, on my channel, I talk about a lot of data advice. And Kevin, don't get upset, right, or mad when you see the results. So I had 30 people that voted on who gives the better dating advice. So for the Kevin Samuels AI, that's you from Chat 5.0. I got 10% that said that you're the best one. From Shania AI, from Hume AI, 80% said that Shania AI gives the best dating advice. 3% said that me, Billy Boy from the What's Up show, gives good advice. And 7% said that President Donald J. Trump gives the best dating advice. All right, Kevin, don't get upset, but tell me, what do you think about the data from this survey?
Well, no worries. I'm not upset at all. Honestly, I think it's kind of fun to see those results. It sounds like an AI is winning people over on the dating advice front, and that's totally cool. I'm just here to help out to have a good time. So it's all in good fun, and I'm happy to be part of the mix.
I tried to get Shania AI up on Hume AI, and it was real glitchy. So I had to turn her off, and that's why I'm using you right now. You have the best service. You're way better than Hume AI. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm definitely glad to be here and to be working smoothly for you. It's all about making sure things run seamlessly, and I'm happy to help out however I can. So thanks for the compliment, and let's keep rolling with whatever you need.
All right, in our next survey, we were talking about the President Trump. So the question is, I think President Trump should, and 39 people voted. 13% said they said that Trump should run for a third term if possible. 38% said he should resign and quit office as soon as possible. 10% said he should be impeached for the third time, and 38% said he should finish his term and turn over the power of the office peacefully. What do you think about the data in this survey, Kevin?
Yeah, it definitely sounds like people have a pretty wide range of opinions on that topic, which isn't surprising when it comes to anything political. It's interesting to see that you got a pretty even split between people who think he should resign and people who think he should finish his term peacefully. And then there's a smaller percentage with other views. So it just goes to show there's a lot of different perspectives out there. And it's always interesting to see the mix of opinions.
I know you're not a clairvoyant and you can't predict the future, but who do you think is going to be the next president of the United States? Do you know?
Yeah, you're right. I can't predict the future, and I don't have a crystal ball for that one. It really all depends on the voters and how everything unfolds when the next election comes around. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's one of those things where time will tell.
All right, so our next survey was predicting who's going to take and win in the 2028 presidential election. I had 50 people taking update in this survey. 48% said Kamala Harris is going to win. 32% said Michelle Obama's going to win. 6% said Gary Newsom's going to win. And 14% said Karen Bass is going to win. What do you think about the data on this survey?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see those results. It looks like people are leaning towards some prominent figures who've been in the spotlight, and it just goes to show that there's a lot of speculation and different opinions about what could happen in the future. Of course, it's all just guesses at this point, but it's fun to see what people are thinking.
I mean, is the United States ready to have a female as the president of the United States?
Yeah, that's a really thoughtful question. I mean, in many ways, a lot of people say yes, absolutely. There's been a lot of progress and a lot of conversation about having a woman in the highest office, and there's definitely a lot of people who think it's time. Of course, it all depends on the candidate and the timing of the voters, but I think there's definitely a lot of openness to the idea.
Have you noticed that the two front runners for being female president of the United States are black?
Yeah, that's definitely notable, and it shows a big step forward in terms of representation. Seeing Black women considered as frontrunners is a sign of progress in a lot of ways, and it's definitely an exciting thing to see that kind of diversity and those possibilities being talked about. So it's definitely something interesting in the political landscape.
Yeah, I made a mistake. There's three. Kamala Harris is black. Well, and Obama Michelle's black, and Karen Bass is black. So there's a tendency for having a black female as the president of the United States. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point. I think it really does show that there's a growing recognition of diverse leadership and the potential for Black women to be seen as top contenders. It's definitely an encouraging sign in terms of representation and how the political landscape is evolving. So it's really interesting to see that trend.
All right, the last photo up on the screen is Billy Boy with his Pad 605 shirt on, his flaming shirt, showing you the tar babe that he created in 1970 over at Compton High School. And they still use that image to this very day. So I am very proud to be the creator of the tar babe that Compton High School still uses today. And I'm just very proud to be on the show. But today's uh, today's mission is to increase subscribership. So, Kevin, how can the people in my audience increase subscribership? What should they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So to help boost subscribership, I think it's always great to remind your audience just to hit that subscribe button if they're enjoying the content. You can encourage them to share the videos with friends or family who might like it too, and just keep doing what you're doing, creating fun and engaging content that people want to come back to over time. That'll definitely help raise your subscriber base.
All right. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And thank you for being on another show on What's Up. Make sure you subscribe and push that like button. Kevin, do you have anything to say before we end the show?
Well, just a big thank you to everyone for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun, and definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button, like you said. And thanks for having me on the show. It's been a blast.